Chapter 1. Chapter 1. A Day at the Park. In the previous chapter, the air was thick with unspoken words as Brad wrestled with his feelings for Mia, the girl who had unknowingly captured his heart. Their friendship had been a tapestry of laughter and shared secrets, but the threads of tension were beginning to fray. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over their lives, Brad made a decision. He would finally confront his feelings, no matter the cost. Little did he know that the vibrant day ahead at Maplewood Park would challenge everything he thought he knew about love and friendship. The sun shone brightly over Maplewood Park, illuminating the vibrant colors of the flowers that lined the pathways. Laughter echoed through the air, mingling with the distant sounds of carnival rides whirring and children squealing with delight. The scent of popcorn and cotton candy wafted through the park, wrapping around Brad like a warm embrace as he stepped through the entrance, his heart racing with anticipation. Dressed in a simple gray t-shirt and faded shorts, Brad felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Today was supposed to be a day of fun, a distraction from the emotional turmoil that had been brewing inside him. He spotted his friends gathered near the entrance, their faces lit up with enthusiasm. Among them was Mia, her laughter ringing like music, a sound that always sent a thrill through him. "Hey, Brad!" called out Jenna, one of the girls in their group, her voice bright and inviting. She wore a pair of stylish, tight jeans that accentuated her figure, and her hair danced in the gentle breeze. "You made it. We were just about to head to the Ferris wheel." Brad forced a smile, his heart doing a little flip as he approached them. "Yeah, I wouldn't miss it for the world." He tried to keep his tone light, but the weight of his unspoken feelings for Mia hung heavily in the air. Mia turned to him, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "You're going to love it, Brad. The view from the top is amazing. You can see the whole park." She stepped closer, her presence intoxicating. "And maybe we can take a selfie up there." "Sure, why not?" he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. He could feel the warmth radiating from her, and for a moment, all his worries faded into the background. As they made their way toward the Ferris wheel, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. The park was alive with families, couples, and groups of friends, all reveling in the joy of the day. The vibrant colors of the rides and the sounds of laughter created a tapestry of happiness that enveloped them. "Let's get in line," Jenna exclaimed, pulling Mia along with her. Brad followed, his heart pounding in rhythm with the music that played from a nearby booth. He watched as Mia and Jenna chatted animatedly, their laughter blending seamlessly with the sounds of the park. "Hey, Brad," called out Jake, one of his closest friends, as he joined them in line. "You ready to conquer your fear of heights?" Brad chuckled, trying to mask his nerves. "I'm not afraid of heights. Just not a fan of them." He glanced at Mia, who was oblivious to his internal struggle, her attention focused on the colorful lights of the Ferris wheel. "Come on, it'll be fun." Jake nudged him playfully. "Besides, you'll have Mia next to you. What's there to be scared of?" Brad's stomach twisted at the thought. He wanted to be brave, to take that leap and confess his feelings, but the fear of ruining their friendship held him back. He watched as Mia turned to him, her eyes wide with excitement. "You'll be fine, right?" "Yeah, totally fine," he replied, forcing a grin. But inside, a storm of emotions raged. The thrill of the ride was nothing compared to the thrill of being close to her, of sharing that moment. He could almost taste the sweetness of what could be, but the fear of rejection loomed like a dark cloud. As they climbed into the Ferris wheel car, Brad found himself sitting next to Mia. The metal creaked as the ride began its ascent, and he could feel the tension between them crackling like static electricity. He stole a glance at her, her hair catching the sunlight, framing her face in a halo of gold. She looked so carefree, so alive, and it made his heart ache. "Look at that view," Mia exclaimed, pointing out over the park as they reached the top. The sprawling landscape below was a patchwork of green grass, colorful booths, and the distant sound of laughter. "It's beautiful." "Yeah, it really is," Brad agreed, his voice barely above a whisper. He turned to her, his heart racing. "But not as beautiful as you." Mia's laughter rang out, bright and melodic, but there was a hint of surprise in her eyes. "Smooth, Brad. Are you trying to charm me?" "Maybe," he said, his heart pounding. "I mean, you're kind of hard not to charm." The moment hung between them, charged with unspoken words. Brad could feel the weight of his confession pressing against his chest, but he hesitated. What if she didn't feel the same way? What if he ruined everything? Just then, the Ferris wheel began its descent, and the moment slipped away like sand through his fingers. "Let's take that selfie," Mia said, pulling out her phone, her excitement infectious. She leaned closer, and Brad's heart raced as he tried to focus on the camera instead of the warmth radiating from her. "Say cheese," Jenna called from the car ahead, and they both turned to smile, the moment captured in time. But as they descended, Brad felt the weight of his unspoken feelings pressing down on him, a reminder that the day was far from over. Once they disembarked, the group moved toward the games area, where the sounds of laughter and cheers filled the air. Brightly colored booths lined the path, each one promising a chance to win prizes. The atmosphere was electric, and for a moment, Brad allowed himself to be swept up in the excitement. "Who's up for some ring toss?" Jake suggested, his competitive spirit shining through. "Loser buys ice cream." "Deal." Jenna chimed in, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "I'm going to win this one." As they gathered around the booth, Brad felt a sense of camaraderie wash over him. The laughter, the playful banter. It was a welcome distraction from the turmoil inside him. But as he watched Mia cheer for Jenna, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. "Brad, you're up," Jake called, snapping him back to reality. He stepped forward, the rings in his hand feeling heavier than they should. The booth owner watched him with a knowing smile, as if he could sense the weight of Brad's thoughts. "Just aim for the bottles," the owner said, his voice smooth and encouraging. "You got this." Brad took a deep breath, focusing. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. The Group Dynamics. The sun hung high over Maplewood Park, casting a warm glow on the vibrant scene below. Laughter echoed through the air, punctuated by the distant screams of thrill-seekers on the roller coasters. In the previous chapter, Brad, with his easygoing charm and casual attire, had met up with his friends, a lively group of girls who brought a splash of color to the park. Mia, the confident leader, had rallied her friends Zoe and Lila, and together they had set the stage for a day filled with adventure and excitement. As they stood at the entrance, the promise of the day shimmered like the sunlight on the rides, but beneath the surface, a current of tension began to weave its way through their interactions. Brad leaned against the entrance gate, his hands shoved deep into the pockets of his shorts, a playful grin plastered across his face. He watched as Mia adjusted her sunglasses, her long hair catching the light like spun gold. Zoe and Lila flanked her, their laughter ringing out like music, but there was an undercurrent of something more. An unspoken challenge in the air. "Seriously, Brad, are you going to wear that all day?" Mia teased, her tone light but her eyes sharp. She gestured to his simple t-shirt, which bore the faded logo of a band no one had heard of in years. "You look like you just rolled out of bed." Brad chuckled, feigning offense. "Hey, this is classic laid-back style. I'm here for the fun, not the fashion police." He leaned closer, lowering his voice conspiratorially. "Besides, I thought you liked my just woke up look." Mia rolled her eyes, but a smile tugged at her lips. "You're lucky you're charming, or I'd have to give you a makeover." "Good luck with that," he shot back, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "I'm a lost cause." Zoe and Lila exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of amusement and intrigue. Zoe, with her wild curls and infectious energy, piped up, "Maybe we should just throw him on the roller coaster and see if that wakes him up. Or scare him into a new wardrobe," Lila added, her voice teasing but her gaze lingering on Brad, as if she were weighing the merits of his laid-back style against the thrill of the day ahead. All right, Brad said, raising his hands in mock surrender. "I'll take my chances on the roller coaster. But if I lose my lunch, I'm blaming you all." Mia laughed, the sound bright and infectious. "Deal. Let's go before I change my mind and make you wear a tutu instead." As they made their way toward the towering structure of the roller coaster, the atmosphere shifted. The air was thick with the scent of popcorn and cotton candy, mingling with the faint whiff of sunscreen. The ride loomed above them, a twisting metal serpent that promised both exhilaration and terror. The line snaked ahead, filled with eager riders, their faces alight with anticipation. Brad felt a flutter of excitement mixed with a hint of anxiety. He had always loved roller coasters, but there was something about the way Mia's laughter rang out that made his heart race even faster than the ride itself. He caught her eye, and for a moment, the world around them faded. It was just the two of them, suspended in a moment that felt electric. "Ready for this?" Mia asked, her voice barely audible over the cacophony of the park. "Always," he replied, his heart pounding. Not just from the thrill of the ride, but from the weight of her gaze. He could feel the teasing tension between them, a playful challenge that danced just beneath the surface. As they climbed into the ride, the clattering of the chains echoed in his ears, and he felt the rush of adrenaline course through him. The safety bar clicked into place, and he turned to Mia, who was seated beside him. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and he couldn't help but smile back. "Just remember, if I scream, it is because I'm having fun," he said, trying to mask the flutter of nerves in his stomach. "Sure, Brad. We'll see who screams first," she shot back, her competitive spirit igniting a fire within him. The ride lurched forward, and with a sudden rush, they were climbing higher and higher, the ground falling away beneath them. Brad's heart raced, not just from the thrill of the ascent, but from the proximity of Mia. He could feel the warmth radiating from her, the way her laughter mingled with the wind, creating a symphony of joy that enveloped him. As they reached the peak, the world stretched out before them, a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds. For a brief moment, time stood still, and he felt invincible. But then, the drop came, and with it, a rush of adrenaline that sent his heart soaring. He screamed. Not out of fear, but pure exhilaration. Beside him, Mia's laughter rang out, a melody that echoed in his ears long after they had plummeted back to earth. When the ride finally came to a halt, they stumbled out, breathless and exhilarated. The world spun slightly, but the thrill of the ride was quickly overshadowed by the electric energy between them. Mia's cheeks were flushed, her eyes bright with excitement, and Brad couldn't help but feel drawn to her. "See? That wasn't so bad," she exclaimed, brushing her hair back from her face. "Bad. That was amazing," he replied, his voice filled with genuine enthusiasm. "I might actually be awake now." "Good. Because we have a whole day ahead of us," she said, her smile infectious. As they moved away from the ride, the group began to drift, the girls chattering excitedly about what to do next. Brad felt a pang of uncertainty as he watched them. He had always been the jokester, the one who kept the mood light, but now he sensed a shift in the dynamics. Zoe and Lila exchanged whispers, their eyes darting between him and Mia, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were discussing something more than just the next ride. "Hey, what's next?" he asked, trying to break the tension that had settled over the group. Mia turned to him, her expression shifting slightly. "How about the funhouse? It's always a good laugh." "Sounds good to me," he replied, but as they walked, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing beneath the surface. The playful banter had taken on a different tone, and he could sense the unspoken words hanging in the air. As they approached the funhouse, the colorful facade loomed before them, a dizzying array of mirrors and lights. The laughter of children echoed from within, but there was an undercurrent of something deeper. A sense of anticipation that made his heart race. "Let's go," Mia declared, her excitement infectious as she led the way inside. The moment they stepped through the entrance, the world transformed. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. The roller coaster ride. The sun hung high over Maplewood Park, casting a warm glow on the vibrant scene below. Laughter and shouts of excitement filled the air, mingling with the sweet scent of cotton candy and popcorn. In the previous chapter, Brad, with his easygoing charm, had met up with Mia and her friends, Zoe and Lila, their playful banter setting the stage for a day of adventure. The girls, dressed in their stylish outfits, had teased him about his laid-back style, while he flirted back with his signature wit. Their day was about to kick off with the thrilling roller coaster, a decision that promised to ignite the playful tension simmering just beneath the surface. As they approached the towering structure of the roller coaster, the sound of metal clanking and the distant screams of exhilaration grew louder. The ride loomed above them, twisting and turning against the bright blue sky, its tracks glistening in the sunlight. Brad felt a rush of adrenaline, not just from the anticipation of the ride but from the electric energy radiating from Mia and her friends. He glanced at Mia, who stood at the front of the line, her confident posture and infectious smile drawing him in like a moth to a flame. "Come on, slowpokes," Mia called over her shoulder, her voice playful yet commanding. "I want to feel the wind in my hair." Yeah, we're coming," Brad replied, quickening his pace. He couldn't help but admire how her hair danced in the breeze, a cascade of dark waves that framed her face perfectly. Zoe and Lila giggled behind him, their excitement palpable. "I bet Brad's going to scream like a little girl," Zoe teased, nudging Lila with her elbow. "Hey, I'm not scared," Brad shot back, feigning indignation. "I just prefer to keep my cool." "Sure you do," Lila laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. As they reached the front of the line, the roller coaster's cars clanked to a stop, and the attendant waved them forward. Brad felt a flutter of nerves mixed with excitement as they climbed into the car. He settled into his seat, heart racing, and noticed that Mia was directly in front of him. The car jolted as it locked into place, and he couldn't resist the urge to reach out and touch her shoulder, a playful gesture meant to bridge the distance between them. But as his fingers brushed against her back instead, a jolt of electricity shot through him. Mia turned her head slightly, her eyes wide with surprise, and for a moment, the world around them faded. The laughter and screams of the park were drowned out by the rapid beating of his heart. "Oops, sorry," he said, trying to mask his embarrassment with a chuckle. "Didn't mean to invade your personal space." Mia shot him a teasing smile, her cheeks slightly flushed. "Just keep your hands to yourself, Brad. I don't want to be responsible for your heart rate skyrocketing." The car lurched forward, and the thrill of the ride took over. As they climbed higher, the ground below shrank away, and the view of the park spread out like a colorful tapestry. The wind whipped through their hair, and Brad felt a rush of exhilaration. He couldn't help but lean forward, his heart racing not just from the ride but from the proximity to Mia. "Are you ready for this?" he shouted, his voice barely audible over the roar of the coaster. "Bring it on," she yelled back, her laughter ringing clear and bright. As they crested the peak, the world seemed to pause for a heartbeat. Time stretched, and in that moment, Brad felt a connection with Mia that transcended the thrill of the ride. The drop that followed was a free fall into chaos, screams erupting from their lips as the car plummeted downwards. The rush of adrenaline was intoxicating, and Brad's laughter mingled with Mia's, creating a symphony of joy that echoed through the air. The ride twisted and turned, each loop and drop heightening the sense of exhilaration. Brad's heart raced not just from the thrill of the coaster but from the way Mia's laughter filled the space between them. He caught glimpses of her face, her eyes sparkling with delight, and he felt a warmth spreading through him that had nothing to do with the sun. As they approached the final stretch, the car slowed, and the thrill began to fade into a gentle buzz. The ride came to a stop, and Brad felt a mix of exhilaration and disappointment. He wanted to relive that moment, to feel the rush of adrenaline and the closeness to Mia again. "Okay, that was amazing," Zoe exclaimed, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Let's do it again." "Absolutely," Lila chimed in, bouncing on her seat. Brad turned to Mia, his heart pounding. "What do you think? Ready for another round?" Mia hesitated, her expression shifting slightly. "I don't know. I think I might need a break." "That was a lot." "Come on, don't be a wuss," Zoe teased, nudging her playfully. "You can't let Brad show you up." Mia shot Brad a sidelong glance, her expression unreadable. "I'm not worried about that," she replied, her tone light but her eyes betraying a hint of something deeper. Brad felt a flicker of uncertainty. Had he misread the moment? The playful banter had been so effortless, but now he sensed a shift in the air, a tension that hadn't been there before. "We can do something else if you want," he offered, trying to keep his tone casual. "Maybe the Ferris wheel. It's a little less intense." "Yeah, let's do that," Lila said, her enthusiasm infectious. As they climbed out of the car, Brad fell into step beside Mia. "Hey," he said, lowering his voice slightly. "You okay?" She glanced at him, her expression softening. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just, sometimes it is a lot to take in." "Right," he replied, feeling a pang of concern. "I get that. But I had a great time up there." "You were amazing." Mia smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Thanks, Brad. You were too." The group made their way toward the Ferris wheel, the bright colors of the park swirling around them. As they walked, Brad couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted between him and Mia. The playful tension that had filled the air moments ago felt heavier now, laden with unspoken words and hidden emotions. They reached the Ferris wheel, its towering structure casting a long shadow over the ground. The line was shorter than for the roller coaster, and they quickly climbed into one of the enclosed cars. As the wheel began to turn, Brad found himself sitting next to Mia again, the enclosed space amplifying the intimacy of their proximity. "Look at that view," he said, trying to break the tension. Chapter 4. Game on. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over Maplewood Park, where laughter and excitement danced in the air like fireflies at dusk. After the exhilarating roller coaster ride, where Brad had felt the rush of adrenaline and the electric thrill of being so close to Mia, the group had decided to explore the game stalls that lined the park. Colorful prizes dangled enticingly from every booth, their vibrant hues promising victory and joy. The atmosphere was alive with the sounds of laughter, the clinking of coins, and the occasional cheer of a winner. Brad, still buzzing from the roller coaster, felt a sense of camaraderie with his friends. Mia, with her confident stride and infectious smile, led the way, her laughter ringing like music. Zoe and Lila flanked her, their playful banter creating a symphony of youthful exuberance. As they approached the first game stall, a bright red booth adorned with plush toys and glittering lights, Brad felt a surge of determination. Today was about fun, but it was also about impressing Mia. "All right, who's ready to win some prizes?" Mia called out, her eyes sparkling with mischief. She leaned over the table, her hair cascading like a waterfall of chestnut waves, and pointed at the giant stuffed bear that loomed over the other prizes. "I want that one." Brad stepped forward, a grin spreading across his face. "You think you can win it? I bet I can toss a ring better than you can." Mia raised an eyebrow, a playful challenge igniting in her gaze. "Oh really? You think you can take me on in ring toss? Bring it on, Brad." The stakes were set, and the air crackled with anticipation. As they leaned over the table, the scent of popcorn and cotton candy wafted through the air, mingling with the faint smell of sunscreen. Brad couldn't help but poke Mia's side playfully, eliciting a surprised laugh from her. She turned, her eyes wide with mock indignation, and pushed him away, her laughter infectious. "Hey, no cheating," she exclaimed, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Just trying to throw you off your game," Brad replied, his voice low and teasing. He felt a rush of warmth as their eyes locked, the playful tension between them thickening like the summer air. The game attendant, a burly man with a bushy mustache, handed them each a set of rings. "All right, kids, let's see what you've got," he boomed, his voice booming over the din of the park. Brad took a deep breath, focusing on the targets ahead. The rings glimmered in the sunlight, and he could feel the weight of Mia's gaze on him, a mix of encouragement and challenge. He tossed the first ring, his heart racing as it sailed through the air, landing perfectly on the peg. "1 point for me," he declared, pumping his fist in triumph. Mia rolled her eyes, a playful smirk on her lips. "Beginner's luck," she shot back, her competitive spirit ignited. She took her turn, her focus unwavering as she tossed the ring with precision. It landed with a satisfying thud, and she squealed in delight. "Yes. 1 point for me." The game continued, each toss accompanied by laughter and playful jabs. Brad found himself leaning closer to Mia, their shoulders brushing as they celebrated each other's successes. The world around them faded, leaving only the thrill of the game and the warmth of their connection. "Okay, last round," Brad said, his heart pounding not just from the competition but from the closeness they shared. "Winner takes all. If I win, you have to let me take you out for ice cream later." Mia's eyes sparkled with mischief. "And if I win?" Brad paused, his mind racing. "Then I'll wear a ridiculous costume of your choosing at the next school event," he replied, a grin spreading across his face. "Deal," she exclaimed, her laughter ringing like a bell. The stakes were set, and the air was thick with anticipation. As they took their final turns, Brad felt the weight of the moment. He tossed the ring, his heart in his throat as it sailed through the air. It landed just shy of the target, and he let out a frustrated groan. "No, come on." Mia, however, was unfazed. She took a deep breath, her expression focused and determined. With a flick of her wrist, she tossed her ring, and it landed perfectly on the peg. "Yes. I win," she shouted, her voice filled with triumph. Brad feigned disappointment, but inside, he couldn't help but admire her spirit. "All right, you win fair and square," he said, a genuine smile breaking through. "But you better believe I'm going to get my revenge at the ice cream shop." Mia laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "I'll hold you to that, Brad." As they collected their prizes. A small plush bear for Mia and a keychain for Brad. Their fingers brushed against each other, sending a jolt of electricity through him. He glanced at her, and for a moment, the world around them faded into a blur. It was just the two of them, caught in a moment that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. "Let's go get that ice cream," Mia said, her voice breaking the spell. She turned, leading the way, and Brad followed, his heart racing. As they walked through the park, the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over everything. The laughter of children echoed around them, blending with the distant sound of music from a nearby carousel. Brad felt a sense of contentment wash over him, but beneath it lay an undercurrent of tension. He wanted to tell Mia how he felt, to confess the growing affection that had blossomed between them, but the words lingered just out of reach. "Hey, Brad." Mia's voice pulled him from his thoughts. She glanced back at him, her expression serious. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure, what's up?" he replied, his heart quickening. "Do you ever think about what happens after high school? Like, where we'll all end up?" Her gaze was steady, but there was a hint of vulnerability in her eyes. Brad hesitated, the weight of her question settling over him. "I guess I've thought about it a little. It's kind of scary, right? The idea of everything changing." Mia nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Yeah, it is. Sometimes I wonder if we'll all drift apart or if we'll stay close." Brad felt a pang in his chest at the thought. "I hope we stay close," he said, his voice earnest. "You guys mean a lot to me." Mia smiled, but there was a flicker of something deeper in her eyes, something that made his heart race. "You mean a lot to us too, Brad. You're different." "Different how?" he asked, curiosity piqued. "You're not like the others." Chapter 5. Chapter 5. The Ferris Wheel Adventure. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over Maplewood Park, where laughter and excitement danced in the air like fireflies at dusk. Brad, with his easygoing charm and laid-back style, had just spent the morning racing through the twists and turns of the roller coaster with Mia, Zoe, and Lila. The thrill of the ride had left them breathless, and the playful banter that flowed between them had sparked a light-hearted tension that lingered like the sweet scent of cotton candy. Now, as they wandered through the vibrant park, the group was ready for their next adventure. "Okay, who's up for the Ferris wheel?" Mia suggested, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Only if I can sit next to you," Brad replied, a teasing grin spreading across his face. Zoe rolled her eyes, but a smile tugged at her lips. "You just want the view, don't you?" "Hey, I'm all about the views," he shot back, his tone playful. "Let's go before I change my mind." Lila chimed in, her enthusiasm infectious. With laughter trailing behind them, the group made their way to the Ferris wheel, its towering structure a kaleidoscope of colors against the blue sky. The gentle creaking of the wheel and the distant sounds of carnival music created a whimsical backdrop as they approached the ticket booth. As they climbed into the gondola, Brad found himself sitting next to Zoe, who was visibly nervous. Her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her shirt, and her eyes darted to the ground far below. "Hey, it is just a ride," he said, leaning slightly closer to her, his voice low and reassuring. "You'll be fine. Just think of it as a really slow roller coaster." Zoe shot him a skeptical look, her brow furrowing. "A slow roller coaster? That's not helping." Brad chuckled, the sound warm and inviting. "Okay, how about this? I'll distract you. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?" "Mint chocolate chip," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Solid choice. I'm more of a cookies and cream guy myself," he said, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "But I'll let you have the mint if you promise not to scream when we go up." Zoe couldn't help but laugh, the tension in her shoulders easing slightly. "Deal." As the Ferris wheel began its ascent, the park spread out below them like a vibrant tapestry. The laughter of children, The distant sound of carnival games, and the sweet aroma of popcorn filled the air. Brad leaned against the railing, stealing glances at Zoe, who was now gripping the edge of her seat, her knuckles white. "See. Look at that view," he said, gesturing to the sprawling park below. "You can see the whole fair from up here." Zoe's eyes widened as she took in the sight, her fear momentarily forgotten. "It's beautiful," she admitted, her voice tinged with awe. "Just like you," Brad said, the words slipping out before he could stop them. Zoe turned to him, surprise flickering across her face. "What? I mean, the view is beautiful," he stammered, heat creeping up his neck. "Not that you're not beautiful, but—" "Brad, relax," she said, a teasing smile breaking through her initial shock. "I get it. You're just trying to make me feel better." "Right, exactly," he replied, his heart racing. "Just trying to keep the mood light." As they reached the top, the Ferris wheel came to an unexpected halt, leaving them suspended high above the park. The sudden stillness was jarring, and Zoe's breath caught in her throat. What's happening?" she asked, her voice laced with panic. "Probably just a little maintenance," Brad said, trying to sound casual, though he felt a knot tightening in his stomach. "Nothing to worry about." But as the seconds ticked by, the silence grew heavier, and Zoe's anxiety was palpable. "I don't like this," she whispered, her eyes darting around as if searching for an escape. "Hey, look at me," Brad said, turning to face her fully. "We're fine. Just take a deep breath." Zoe nodded, but her gaze remained fixed on the ground below. "I hate heights," she confessed, her voice trembling. "Then why did you agree to this?" he asked, trying to lighten the mood. "Peer pressure," she replied, a hint of a smile breaking through her fear. "And you were so convincing." Brad chuckled, but the sound felt hollow in the stillness. "Well, I'm glad I could convince you to face your fears. Just think of it as a chance to conquer them." Zoe took a deep breath, her eyes finally meeting his. "You really think so?" "Absolutely," he said, his voice steady. "And if you can conquer this, you can conquer anything." For a moment, they locked eyes, the world around them fading into a blur. The tension shifted, morphing into something deeper, something unspoken. Brad felt a rush of emotions. Admiration for her courage, a desire to protect her, and an undeniable attraction that simmered just beneath the surface. But before he could say anything more, the Ferris wheel jolted back to life, resuming its slow rotation. Zoe gasped, her hand instinctively reaching for his. "See. We're moving again," he said, squeezing her hand gently. "Yeah, but I'm not sure I'm ready for the descent," she admitted, her voice shaky. "Just hold on to me," he said, his heart racing as he intertwined his fingers with hers. "I've got you." As they began their descent, the park came back into focus, the vibrant colors and sounds flooding back into their senses. But the moment felt charged, the connection between them palpable. "Thanks for being here," Zoe said softly, her eyes still locked on his. "Always," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. As they reached the ground, the gondola swung gently before coming to a stop. The moment of intimacy lingered in the air, and Brad felt a mix of exhilaration and uncertainty. He wanted to say more, to explore the feelings that had bubbled to the surface, but the moment was interrupted by the cheerful chatter of Mia and Lila, who were waiting for them at the exit. "Did you two have a moment up there?" Mia teased, a knowing smile on her face. "Shut up," Brad said, trying to play it cool, but the heat in his cheeks betrayed him. Zoe laughed, the tension easing as they stepped off the ride. "It was interesting," she said, shooting Brad a sidelong glance. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Stuck in the air. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over Maplewood Park, where laughter and excitement had filled the air just moments ago. Brad, with his easygoing charm and playful banter, had found himself amidst a lively group of friends, including Mia, the confident leader of the girls, and her adventurous companions, Zoe and Lila. After a thrilling ride on the roller coaster, where the adrenaline had surged through their veins, they had transitioned to the game stalls, where friendly competition and flirtatious teasing had set the tone for the day. Now, they were perched high above the park on the Ferris wheel, their laughter echoing against the backdrop of the vibrant fairgrounds, until the ride unexpectedly ground to a halt. As the Ferris wheel creaked ominously, the initial thrill of being suspended in the air transformed into a mix of excitement and anxiety. The colorful lights of the park twinkled below them, but the view that had once felt exhilarating now seemed daunting. Brad glanced over at Mia, who sat across from him, her expression shifting from amusement to discomfort. "Great view, huh?" he quipped, trying to mask the tension that hung in the air like the heavy clouds threatening rain. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, his playful demeanor unwavering. "I mean, who wouldn't want to be stuck up here with the coolest crew in Maplewood?" Mia forced a smile, but her eyes darted to the ground below. "Yeah, if by coolest crew, you mean the most terrified." She crossed her arms, her body language tightening as she shifted in her seat. The closeness of their quarters suddenly felt stifling, the thrill of the ride replaced by an unsettling awareness of the space between them. "Come on, it is not so bad," Brad said, trying to inject some levity into the situation. "At least we're not upside down, right? Imagine the view then." He chuckled, but the laughter that followed felt strained, echoing hollowly in the stillness. Zoe, sitting next to him, clutched the safety bar, her knuckles white. "I knew I shouldn't have gone on this thing. I hate heights." Her voice trembled slightly, and Brad turned to her, his expression softening. "Hey, you're doing great," he said, his tone sincere. "Just breathe. Look at the view. You can see the whole park from up here." He gestured toward the sprawling expanse of colorful booths and laughing children below, but Zoe's gaze remained fixed on the ground. "Yeah, but what if we don't get down?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the distant sounds of the fair. "What if we're stuck up here forever?" "Forever," Lila chimed in, her eyes wide with mock horror. "I can't even imagine the snack situation. No funnel cakes, no cotton candy. Just us and the birds." She burst into laughter, and despite the tension, it was infectious. Zoe cracked a smile, and even Mia's lips twitched upward. Okay, let's not panic," Mia said, her voice steadier now. "We'll be fine. They'll get us down." But even as she spoke, her fingers drummed nervously against her thigh, betraying her calm facade. Brad watched her, the way her brow furrowed slightly, the way her laughter didn't quite reach her eyes. He wanted to reach out, to reassure her, but the air felt thick with unspoken words. Instead, he leaned back, trying to project an air of confidence he didn't entirely feel. "All right, let's play a game," he suggested, eager to distract them from the uncertainty. "How about 2 truths and a lie? I'll go first." He took a deep breath, his mind racing. "Okay, I've been to 3 different countries, I once ate an entire pizza by myself, and I'm afraid of clowns." "Definitely the clown thing," Mia said immediately, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "You're too cool to be scared of clowns." "Wrong." Brad laughed, shaking his head. "I've been to 2 countries, but I did eat that pizza. I'm still recovering." "Okay, my turn." Lila chimed in, her excitement palpable. "I've never broken a bone, I can sing the entire Bohemian Rhapsody, and I once got lost in a corn maze for 3 hours." "Lost in a corn maze?" Zoe raised an eyebrow, her fear momentarily forgotten. That's the lie. You're too smart for that. Nope. I really did get lost. Lila laughed, her eyes sparkling. I had to be rescued by a bunch of kids who thought I was a scarecrow. As the game continued, the tension began to dissipate, replaced by laughter and playful banter. Brad felt a warmth spreading through him, a sense of camaraderie that made the heights seem less daunting. Yet, amidst the laughter, he couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper lingered beneath the surface, especially when he caught Mia's gaze lingering on him, her expression unreadable. Okay, Mia, your turn, he prompted, leaning forward, intrigued. Let's hear your secrets. Mia hesitated, her eyes flickering between her friends. All right, fine. I've never had a boyfriend. I once snuck into a concert, and I'm terrified of spiders. Brad raised an eyebrow. You've never had a boyfriend? Really? I find that hard to believe. Believe it, she shot back, her tone playful but edged with something more serious. I'm too busy being the cool girl to date. Or maybe you're just too picky, Lila teased, nudging her shoulder. You've got to let someone in, Mia. You can't keep being the strong one all the time. Mia's smile faltered for a moment, and Brad felt a pang of empathy. He knew the weight of expectations, the pressure to always be the one holding everything together. You don't have to be strong all the time, you know, he said softly, his voice cutting through the laughter. It's okay to let people see the real you. Mia's gaze met his, and for a moment, the world around them faded. The laughter of their friends, the distant sounds of the fair, all blurred into the background as they held each other's gaze. There was a vulnerability in her eyes that made his heart race, a flicker of something deeper that he couldn't quite name. Before he could say anything more, the Ferris wheel jolted, and the sudden movement sent a rush of adrenaline through them. The ride lurched forward, and the laughter erupted again, but this time it felt different. Charged, electric. Brad's heart raced, not just from the thrill of the ride but from the unspoken connection that hung between him and Mia. See, we're moving again, he exclaimed, trying to keep the mood light. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. The Unexpected Rescue. After what felt like an eternity suspended in the air, the Ferris wheel creaked back to life, the gentle whir of machinery breaking the tension that had settled over the group. A park employee, clad in a bright orange vest, appeared at the base of the ride, waving reassuringly as he approached the controls. Relief washed over Brad, Mia, Zoe, and Lila like a cool breeze on a hot summer day. The laughter and chatter that had filled the air moments before had faded into an anxious silence, but now, as the ride began to descend, the group collectively exhaled, their hearts racing with the thrill of survival. Finally, Zoe exclaimed, her voice a mix of relief and lingering anxiety. She clutched the safety bar as if it were a lifeline, her knuckles white against the bright metal. I thought we were going to be stuck up there forever. Forever. You mean, like, until the park closes. Brad quipped, his signature grin returning as he leaned back in his seat, feigning nonchalance. I could think of worse places to be trapped. I mean, look at the view. He gestured dramatically to the sprawling expanse of Maplewood Park, dotted with colorful booths and the laughter of children echoing below. Mia rolled her eyes, but a smile tugged at her lips. You're impossible, Brad, she said, shaking her head. But I guess you're right. It's not the worst view. She glanced out at the horizon, where the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over the park. For a moment, the tension of their predicament faded, replaced by the beauty of the moment. As the Ferris wheel finally came to a stop, Brad felt a rush of adrenaline. He was eager to get off, but not just because of the ride. He wanted to feel the ground beneath his feet again, to shake off the lingering anxiety that had settled in his stomach. But as they exited the ride, he couldn't resist one last playful nudge. He bumped into Mia, causing her to stumble slightly. Instinctively, he reached out, catching her by the elbow, their eyes locking for a brief moment that felt electric. "Whoa there, don't fall for me now," he teased, his voice low and playful, though his heart raced for an entirely different reason. Mia's cheeks flushed, and she pulled away, a mixture of surprise and amusement dancing in her eyes. "Very funny, Brad," she shot back, but the playful edge in her voice betrayed her flustered state. "Just doing my heroic duty," he replied, puffing out his chest in mock bravado. The girls erupted into laughter, teasing him mercilessly. "Look at our brave knight," Lila exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "What would we do without you, Brad?" "Probably get stuck in a tree," Zoe added, her laughter infectious. Brad soaked in the attention, his heart swelling with a mix of pride and something deeper. He loved being the center of their playful banter, but there was a flicker of something more in Mia's gaze that he couldn't quite place. It sent a thrill through him, one that made him want to explore the depths of that connection. As they wandered away from the Ferris wheel, the group decided to grab some snacks. The scent of popcorn and cotton candy wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and distant screams from the rides. Brad felt a sense of camaraderie with the girls, their playful teasing and shared experiences weaving an invisible thread that pulled them closer together. "Okay, who's brave enough to try the haunted house next?" Mia challenged, her eyes glinting with mischief. "Haunted house. I'm in," Lila exclaimed, bouncing on her toes. Zoe hesitated, her face paling at the thought. "I don't know, guys. What if it is really scary?" "Come on, Zoe. It'll be fun," Mia insisted, her voice encouraging. "Besides, we'll all be together. What's the worst that could happen?" Brad watched the exchange, a smile playing on his lips. He admired Mia's confidence, the way she effortlessly rallied her friends. It was one of the things that drew him to her, the way she lit up a room and made everyone feel included. But beneath that confidence, he sensed a flicker of vulnerability, a hint of something deeper that she kept hidden. "Zoe, I'll protect you," Brad said, stepping closer to her. "I'll even hold your hand if it gets too scary." He shot her a wink, trying to ease her nerves. Zoe giggled, her apprehension easing slightly. Okay, I'll do it." "Great, let's go," Mia exclaimed, leading the way through the throngs of people. As they approached the haunted house, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew cooler, and the sounds of laughter faded into eerie music and distant screams. The facade of the haunted house loomed before them, dark and foreboding, with flickering lights and ominous shadows dancing across the walls. "Are we really doing this?" Zoe whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "Absolutely," Mia replied, her tone firm. "Stick together, and we'll be fine." Brad felt a rush of excitement mixed with a hint of apprehension. He had always enjoyed a good scare, but he couldn't shake the feeling that this would be different. As they stepped inside, the darkness enveloped them, and the sounds of the outside world faded away. The interior was dimly lit, with cobwebs hanging from the ceiling and eerie props scattered throughout. The air was thick with the scent of must and something sweetly decayed. As they moved deeper into the haunted house, Brad could feel the tension in the air, a palpable mix of fear and excitement. "Stay close," he whispered, glancing at Mia, who walked beside him. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the flickering lights as they moved through the maze of shadows. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the hallway, and Zoe let out a small yelp, grabbing Brad's arm tightly. "What was that?" she gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. "Just a prop," Brad reassured her, though he felt a twinge of uncertainty himself. "Nothing to worry about." But as they continued, the scares became more intense. A ghostly figure jumped out from behind a door, and Mia let out a startled scream, clutching Brad's arm. He felt a rush of adrenaline at her touch, the warmth of her hand sending a jolt through him. "See, I told you I'd protect you," he joked, trying to lighten the mood, but his heart raced for a different reason. Mia shot him a playful glare, but there was a spark in her eyes that made his pulse quicken. "You're not helping," she laughed, though the sound was laced with genuine fear. As they rounded a corner, they found themselves in a room filled with mirrors. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. A splash of fun. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over Maplewood Park as laughter and excitement filled the air. After their thrilling escapade on the roller coaster and the unexpected halt on the Ferris wheel, Brad and the girls were buzzing with energy. The teasing banter and playful touches had set a light-hearted tone, but beneath the surface, a current of tension simmered, especially between Brad and Mia. As they regrouped, the scent of popcorn and cotton candy wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of joyous screams and the distant thud of carnival games. "All right, who's ready to cool off?" Mia announced, her eyes sparkling with mischief. She pointed toward the water games section, where colorful booths promised both fun and a good drenching. "Only if you're ready to lose," Brad shot back, a confident grin spreading across his face. He could feel the anticipation bubbling in his chest, a mix of excitement and the thrill of being close to Mia. "Lose. Please, I'm going to wipe the floor with you," she replied, her tone teasing yet competitive. Her friends, Zoe and Lila, exchanged glances, their expressions mirroring the playful challenge that hung in the air. As they approached the water games, the atmosphere shifted. The sound of splashing water and laughter echoed around them, and the vibrant colors of the booths seemed to pulse with life. A large sign above one booth read, "Soak your friends. Win prizes." In bold, cheerful letters. "Let's do it," Zoe exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "I need a new stuffed animal." "Only if you promise to share it with me," Lila chimed in, nudging her friend playfully. Brad stepped up to the booth, his heart racing with the thrill of competition. "All right, ladies, prepare to be soaked." He picked up a water gun, its bright yellow color gleaming in the sunlight. Mia grabbed a gun of her own, her competitive spirit ignited. "You're going down, Brad," she declared, her voice filled with determination. The game began, and chaos erupted. Water flew in every direction as they took aim at each other, laughter mingling with the splashes. Brad ducked behind a booth, peeking out to catch a glimpse of Mia, who was already drenched but still grinning from ear to ear. "Is that all you've got?" he called out, his voice teasing as he shot a stream of water in her direction. Mia squealed, dodging to the side, but not before a few droplets hit her squarely in the face. "Oh, it is on," she shouted, retaliating with a fierce spray that caught him off guard. The playful water fight escalated, with Zoe and Lila joining in, their laughter ringing out like music. Brad found himself in the center of the chaos, dodging and weaving as he tried to keep his aim steady. The sun beat down on them, but the cool water felt refreshing against his skin, invigorating him with every splash. "Brad, watch out!" Lila yelled, pointing behind him. He turned just in time to see Mia charging at him, her water gun raised high. With a burst of adrenaline, he sidestepped, but not before she managed to drench him completely. "Gotcha!" she laughed, her eyes sparkling with triumph. Okay, truce," he called out, raising his hands in mock surrender, though he couldn't help but smile at her infectious enthusiasm. "Truce. Not a chance." Mia shot back, her competitive edge still alive. She took a step closer, her playful demeanor shifting slightly as their eyes locked. For a brief moment, The laughter faded into the background, and the air between them thickened with an unspoken tension. Brad's heart raced, caught between the thrill of the game and the undeniable chemistry that crackled in the air. He could see the droplets of water glistening on her skin, the way her hair clung to her cheeks, and he felt a sudden urge to bridge the distance between them. But just as quickly as the moment arrived, it was interrupted by Zoe, who splashed water in their direction, breaking the spell. "Come on, you two. Focus on the game," she laughed, pulling them back into the chaos. With a renewed sense of determination, Brad dove back into the fray, splashing water in every direction. The laughter and playful shouts filled the air, creating a symphony of joy that echoed through the park. As the game continued, Brad found himself gravitating toward Mia, their playful banter punctuated by splashes and laughter. He couldn't help but admire her spirit, the way she threw herself into the game with abandon. "All right, let's settle this once and for all," he declared, a mischievous glint in his eye. "Loser buys ice cream." Mia raised an eyebrow, a challenge dancing in her gaze. "You're on. But I hope you've got enough cash for both of us, because I'm not losing." With that, they launched into a final round, the stakes higher than ever. The water flew, laughter echoed, and for a moment, nothing else mattered. But as the game reached its climax, Brad felt a sudden surge of confidence. He aimed his water gun at Mia, who was laughing and trying to dodge him, and with a swift motion, he soaked her completely. "Victory!" he shouted, pumping his fist in the air. Mia gasped, her eyes wide as she wiped the water from her face, a mix of shock and amusement playing across her features. "You little sneak!" she exclaimed, but the laughter in her voice betrayed her. "Hey, all's fair in love and water games," he replied, grinning from ear to ear. As they caught their breath, the playful atmosphere shifted once again. The laughter faded slightly, and Brad found himself staring at Mia, the water glistening on her skin, her hair tousled and wild. Okay, you win," she said, her voice softer now, a hint of vulnerability creeping in. "But I'm definitely getting you back." Brad chuckled, but there was an edge of seriousness in his voice. "I wouldn't expect anything less." The moment hung between them, charged with unspoken words and lingering glances. He could feel the weight of her gaze, the way it seemed to draw him in, and he wondered if she felt it too. The connection that sparked like electricity in the air. "Hey, what's next?" Zoe interrupted, her cheerful voice breaking the tension. "Ice cream, right. Brad replied, his heart racing as he turned away from Mia, the moment slipping through his fingers. As they made their way toward the ice cream stand, the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the park. The laughter and excitement of the day lingered in the air. Chapter 9. The final ride. As the sun began its slow descent behind the horizon, casting a golden hue over Maplewood Park, the laughter and excitement of the day lingered in the air like the sweet scent of cotton candy. Brad, Mia, Zoe, and Lila had spent the afternoon racing from one thrill to the next, their spirits buoyed by the adrenaline of roller coasters and the playful splashes of water games. After the unexpected halt on the Ferris wheel, where secrets were shared and laughter echoed, the group had emerged closer than ever. Now, with the day winding down, they found themselves drawn to the carousel, a whimsical end to their adventure. "Last ride of the day," Mia suggested, her eyes sparkling with mischief as she glanced at the brightly painted horses. The carousel stood in the center of the park, its vibrant colors illuminated by strings of twinkling lights that had begun to flicker on as dusk approached. "Only if I get to ride the best horse," Brad replied, a playful grin spreading across his face. He nudged Mia with his shoulder, the warmth of their earlier moments still fresh in his mind. "And that would be the one next to you." Mia rolled her eyes, but the corners of her mouth betrayed her amusement. You just want to be close to me, don't you? Who wouldn't? He shot back, feigning innocence. I mean, look at you. As they approached the carousel, the sound of cheerful music filled the air, a nostalgic melody that wrapped around them like a warm blanket. The horses bobbed up and down, their manes flowing in the imaginary wind, and the sight stirred something deep within Brad. He felt a mix of excitement and a hint of something more. An awareness that today was not just about fun, but about the connections they were forging. They climbed aboard, and Brad chose a horse painted in a brilliant shade of blue, right next to Mia's. As the carousel began to spin, he leaned over, his breath warm against her ear. What do you call a horse that can't lose a race? Mia turned her head, her eyes wide with curiosity. I don't know, what? Naysayer. He burst into laughter, and the sound was infectious. Mia's laughter joined his, a bright, melodic sound that seemed to blend perfectly with the carousel's music. Okay, that was terrible, she said, shaking her head, but the smile on her face told him otherwise. You're lucky you're cute. Brad's heart raced at her words, a flutter of hope igniting within him. He leaned closer, the space between them shrinking as the carousel spun faster. You think I'm cute? Don't let it go to your head, she teased, but her cheeks flushed slightly, betraying her own flustered state. As the carousel continued its rhythmic dance, the world around them blurred into a kaleidoscope of colors. The laughter of children, the distant sounds of carnival games, and the sweet scent of popcorn filled the air, creating a backdrop that felt almost magical. Brad couldn't help but steal glances at Mia, her hair catching the light, her eyes sparkling with joy. In that moment, everything felt perfect. But as the ride continued, a subtle shift began to creep into the atmosphere. The laughter faded into a comfortable silence, and the playful banter gave way to a deeper connection. Brad's heart thudded in his chest, and he could sense the tension building between them, a current that neither of them could ignore. Mia, he began, his voice barely above a whisper, can I ask you something? Sure, she replied, her gaze steady on him, curiosity mingling with something else. Something unspoken. What do you think about us? The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. He felt the carousel sway beneath them, the world around them fading into the background as he focused solely on her. Mia's expression shifted, her playful demeanor faltering for a moment. Us. Yeah, he said, his heart racing. I mean, we've had a great day, and I feel like there's something more here. Don't you? She hesitated, her eyes searching his face as if trying to decipher his intentions. I don't know, Brad. I mean, we're friends, right? This is fun, but what? He pressed, his pulse quickening. Is it just fun for you? No, it is not just fun, she admitted, her voice softening. But I don't want to ruin what we have. What if it doesn't work out? Brad felt a pang of disappointment, but he quickly masked it with a smile. What if it does? What if this is just the beginning? Mia's gaze dropped to her hands, fidgeting with the edge of her shirt. I don't want to lose you, Brad. You're important to me. The carousel continued to spin, but time seemed to stand still as he processed her words. You're important to me too, Mia. I just thought maybe we could explore this. Whatever this is. She looked up, her eyes meeting his with a mix of vulnerability and determination. I guess we could try. But let's take it slow, okay? Slow sounds good, he agreed, relief flooding through him. I can do slow. As the carousel began to slow, the music fading into a gentle hum, Brad felt a sense of hope blooming within him. They shared a smile, a silent agreement that something new was blossoming between them, something that could change everything. But just as the ride came to a stop, A loud crash echoed through the park, shattering the moment. The sound reverberated through the air, drawing their attention away from each other. A commotion erupted near the entrance, where a group of teenagers had knocked over a food cart, popcorn and soda spilling everywhere. "What was that?" Zoe exclaimed, her eyes wide with surprise as she and Lila rushed over to join them. "I don't know," Mia said, her brow furrowing. "It sounded like trouble." Brad's heart sank as he watched the chaos unfold. "Let's check it out," he suggested, hoping to distract himself from the tension that had just built between him and Mia. As they dismounted the carousel, the atmosphere shifted from light-hearted fun to an undercurrent of unease. The laughter of the park-goers was replaced by shouts and the sound of running footsteps. Brad felt a knot tighten in his stomach as they approached the scene. "What's going on?" Lila asked, her voice barely audible over the rising din. "I think there's a fight," Zoe whispered, her eyes darting nervously. Brad's instincts kicked in, and he moved closer to the crowd, his heart racing. "Stay close, okay," he instructed the girls, his protective instincts flaring. He could see a group of boys pushing and shoving each other, their faces twisted in anger. "Hey! Break it up!" Brad shouted, stepping forward, but his voice was drowned out by the chaos. Chapter 10. Chapter 10. Reflections and Goodbyes. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over Maplewood Park as the group ambled toward the exit, their laughter echoing in the fading light. The day had been a whirlwind of thrills and playful banter, from the exhilarating heights of the roller coaster to the splashes of the water games. Brad, with his easy charm and laid-back demeanor, had found himself at the center of it all, especially in moments shared with Mia. The teasing, the laughter, the accidental brushes of hands. It all felt electric, a current that pulsed between them, leaving him both exhilarated and anxious. As they walked, Mia turned to the group, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Okay, what was everyone's favorite part of the day?" she asked, her voice bright and inviting. "I think the Ferris wheel was the best," Zoe chimed in, her cheeks still flushed from the thrill. "I mean, we were stuck up there for ages. It was terrifying and hilarious at the same time." "Yeah, I thought I was going to die," Lila added, rolling her eyes dramatically. "But then Brad was all like, 'Don't worry, I've got you.'" She mimicked his playful tone, causing everyone to burst into laughter. Brad grinned, his heart swelling with a mix of pride and embarrassment. "What can I say? I'm a natural hero," he joked, puffing out his chest in mock bravado. Mia shot him a playful glare. "Natural hero, huh? More like a natural troublemaker." Her eyes sparkled with mischief, and Brad felt a familiar flutter in his stomach. "Hey, trouble finds me," he replied, shrugging with a grin. "I just happen to be good at handling it." As they continued to walk, the laughter faded into a comfortable silence, each lost in their thoughts. Brad stole a glance at Mia, who was walking slightly ahead, her hair catching the last rays of sunlight. He couldn't shake the feeling that today had changed something between them. The playful touches, the lingering glances. They had all felt charged with a deeper meaning. "Brad." Mia's voice broke through his reverie, and he quickly straightened, meeting her gaze. "What about you? What was your favorite part?" He hesitated, the weight of her question settling on him. "Honestly, just hanging out with you guys. I mean, it is not every day you get to be a hero on a Ferris wheel," he said, trying to keep his tone light, but the sincerity slipped through. Mia smiled, her expression softening. "I'm glad you're part of our group. You make everything more fun." The compliment sent a rush of warmth through him, and he felt a surge of hope. "I could say the same about you," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. As they approached the park's exit, The sounds of laughter and music faded behind them, replaced by the soft rustle of leaves in the evening breeze. The air was cooler now, carrying the sweet scent of cotton candy and popcorn, remnants of their day of fun. "Let's take a picture," Zoe exclaimed, pulling out her phone. "We need to capture this moment." The group gathered together, squeezing in close. Brad found himself standing next to Mia, their shoulders brushing. He could feel the warmth radiating from her, and for a moment, he forgot about the camera and the world around them. "Say, Maplewood," Zoe called, and they all grinned, leaning in closer. "Maplewood," they echoed, the word ringing out in unison. Click. The camera captured the moment, a snapshot of laughter and friendship, but Brad felt something deeper in that closeness, a connection that pulsed beneath the surface. As they pulled away, Mia turned to him, her expression shifting slightly. "So, what's next for you, Brad? Any big plans?" He hesitated, the question hanging in the air like a fragile balloon. "I don't know. Just hanging out, I guess." Mia nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "You should definitely come with us next time. We're planning another adventure soon." The words sent a thrill through him, but also a flicker of uncertainty. "Yeah, I'd like that." "Great. I'll let you know when we plan it," she said, her smile brightening. As they walked toward the parking lot, Brad's mind raced. The thought of another adventure with Mia and the girls filled him with excitement, but it also brought a wave of anxiety. What if he messed things up? What if the playful banter turned into something more complicated? "Hey, Brad." Mia's voice pulled him from his thoughts again. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure," he replied, trying to keep his tone casual, though his heart raced. Do you think we're all going to stay friends after high school?" The question caught him off guard. He had been so focused on the moment that he hadn't considered the future. "I hope so," he said, his voice steady. "I mean, we've had some great times together. Why wouldn't we?" Mia looked down, her fingers fidgeting with the strap of her bag. "I don't know. Sometimes it feels like everything is changing so fast. I want to hold on to this." Brad felt a pang in his chest, realizing that she was voicing the unspoken fear that had been lurking in the back of his mind. "Me too," he admitted, his voice softer now. "But I think we can make it work. We just have to try." She looked up at him, her eyes searching his. "You really think so?" "Yeah," he said, feeling a surge of determination. "I mean, we've been through a lot together. I don't want to lose that." Mia smiled, a flicker of hope lighting her features. "Okay. Let's promise to keep in touch, no matter what." "Deal," he said, extending his pinky finger toward her. She laughed, linking her pinky with his. "Pinky promise." As they walked the rest of the way to the parking lot, Brad felt a sense of resolve settle over him. He didn't know what the future held, but he was determined to hold on to this connection with Mia. When they reached the cars, the group began to disperse, each girl heading to her own vehicle. Brad felt a pang of disappointment as he realized their time together was coming to an end. "Hey, Brad," Mia called, turning back to him. "I'll text you about the next adventure, okay?" "Definitely," he replied, his heart racing. As she climbed into her car, he felt a rush of emotions. Hope, excitement, and a hint of fear. He watched as she waved goodbye, her smile lingering in his mind.